Hi and welcome to this video in the QPSMR Companion CATI Up and Running series. And in this video we're going to be looking at how you prepare your sample file and your sample data file. So we've already got our questionnaire together. That was covered in the Building a Questionnaire video, which you can see in this series. But now we're going to look at the issues of putting your sample file together. So the first thing I'm going to do is open up the file that contains the sample I want to contact. And if we just open up this file, you can see I've got a number of people in here. The field that must be present is the telephone number. That's a compulsory field and it must be headed tel num. It doesn't matter what column it's in, but it must be headed tel num and spelt like that with the telephone number. Then you want to put any other fields that you want to pull through into your data or use as part of your sample profiling, or to use as information on filters that you want to use in the course of your survey. You can see there's two questions here, member and event. So the members are coded 1 and 2, for 1 for yes, 2 for no, and the events coded 1 and 2 as well, for yes, they attended an event, and no, they didn't attend the event. Now these fields here, it's important their names are replicated in the questionnaire file that you've already built or you should have built. So let's come out of this and go to our survey. So now if we go into the sample part of the questionnaire, you'll see we've got these fields. There's tel num, which is compulsory, and then we've got the other fields that are coming through from the sample file. Now, just to inform it that it's a field that's in the sample file, I would go into Settings, check the sample point, save it, go to the event, go to Settings, check the sample point for CATI, and we're now ready to go. And when you're ready to start building your data file, you now can start reading in that sample file to build your resultant data file. What actually happens here is that a spreadsheet that you saw just now gets taken in, as it were, and converted to a data file that you're going to be outputting, not just the data you're reading from the spreadsheet, other system information such as the ZZ entries here, which are the time of the interview, any appointments, who made the interview, and so on. This is covered in a separate video in more detail. And any information that you collect in the survey itself. They'll all end up in the final data file with all the data from the sample and the ZZ entries that are collecting system information, as it were, as the interview progresses. So we're now ready to do that. We've set these questions up. It should be said that if there's any of these entries in the ZZZs that you don't want, you can just delete them and they don't end up on the final data file. So if you're not interested which computer is used, for example, like the computer name is collected here, you can just delete that field and it's not recorded. My advice is always to keep all these fields because it's useful perhaps for auditing and checking back purposes. So let's now build a sample file. So we go into the CATI menu, we create a sample data file. So we're going to click on this here and we're going to browse for that Excel workbook that had our data. There they are, people.xls, and you can see from the drop down here that you can pick up also CSV files if that's more convenient to you, and indeed XML files, but let's pick up a people.xls file, double click on it. It's going to call my data file project action sample.ask, so I'm going to save that. That's a good name for it, and it tells me there that 30 records have been written to the file, and it's already given me a summary of my sample file. So it tells me I've got 30 records in there, 16 of them are members, 14 are non-members, 13 attended the event, 17 didn't. None of the interviews have been used yet, so we've got all of 30 of them left, and 30 of them are fresh. And there's a slight difference between left and fresh, so a fresh one will be one that's not been interviewed at all or no attempt to interview before. Ones that are left are ones would exclude the ones where perhaps someone's been called and they're not in, or perhaps an appointment's been made to call them back at a certain time on perhaps another day. And we've got none here that have been used or that have failed. So our sample file at the moment is just sort of showing this basic profile of what it contains. And that's all it really involves in building your sample files. Once you've done that, you can click OK. You can get that report back at any time you want to, so you can create a report, pick it up here, and you can see that we'll just get back to the same sample file again. So at any time the supervisor wishes, they can get this report to see how the progress of the job is faring. And of course they can load up more potential interviews in the sample file so that this is replenished if they notice, for example, that the interviewers are starting to run out of interviews to contact. So this is the way it works. In terms of actual usage, the supervisor will have this function so that they can check on the progress of a project, how many interviews have been completed. In a separate video, we're going to look at quotas and how quotas are set and how a supervisor can monitor quotas. But this actually is how a supervisor can monitor the progress of the actual sample itself. And the interviewers are just taking records from this sample file as and when they require them. They don't actually get all these tools that we have here to change the questionnaire, to look at the progress of a project. All that they can do is actually get a record from this sample file and conduct an interview. Well, that completes this short interview. Be sure to watch all the other videos in the QPSMR Companion CATI Up and Running series. Thank you.